As children, we grow up watching these wonderful things called cartoons. And I'm sure many of you have experienced Aladdin and probably wish that you had your own lamp to rub so the genie could pop out and grant all of your wishes. What would happen? You would be feeling really good. So if you could fulfill your needs at the deepest level, what wishes would you choose to experience? Where would you be in your experience? How would you feel? What would your life look like? Everything that happens in the universe starts as an idea. Because we are one with the one, our imagination surfaces from within a universal creative field. And then it manifests through us individually as an experience or a condition. The intention behind our imagination activates the brain, and that's the divine masculine part of the candle. That in turn fires up these little magical things called neurons that form synergistic patterns, or what Deepak Chopra calls a phase and frequency locking in. And that creates the picture of the world that we experience around us. Whether it's for health, prosperity, love, abundance, as long as it moves the creative juices within us, our intention gives power to our imagination. At the spiritual level, it fulfills a need that we have to be happy, to be prosperous, to be loved, and to be creative. As adults, we lose sight of that imagination. And sometimes our wishes and our dreams stay locked up inside of Aladdin's lamp. But where would we be if our soul fulfilled its creative purpose? What if miracles really do happen every day? What if today I meet my good, which is the title of my talk this morning. Michael Bublé, in the song that you just heard, sings, "It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life. It's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good." So our destiny ultimately comes from the deepest level of our intention. When I left the center on Wednesday, after our heartfelt peace meditation with the quartz crystal bowls, I saw a roadrunner run across the street in front of me. And the roadrunner has to do with the activation of the kundalini, or the female serpent that's curled up at the base of your crown chakra. And when that's activated and it lifts off and uncoils and moves through the crown chakra, you are altogether and fundamentally transformed. How many of you were here for the meditation? It was quite transformative. So this is how the world periodically takes quantum leaps in evolution, is by moving that energy through each and every one of us. And Dr. Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of the Science of Mind, spoke about this in his very last lecture, The Sermon by the Sea, when he said, "Find me 1,000 people who live religious science, who talk it, who speak it, who act it, and I myself will live to see a new earth, a new heaven, a new world." So our intention comes from the universal subjective creative mind, or what Deepak Chopra calls the non-local mind. After any intention is birthed as an idea in that creative field, it begins to localize or materialize through each of us. When there are two or more overlapping intentions, which is what they mean by where two or more are gathered, there I am, the non-local mind is more likely to shift towards that direction. And this is how our ecclesiastical team holds the high watch for you when you make a prayer request. we release your truth into that creative field for 1 hour for 7 days in a row. Because of our collective consciousness, what is possible coalesces and becomes your reality, based, of course, upon your receptivity to the truth of who you are. And this is what is depicted in the Science of Mind circles on either side of me. It is what the Buddhists call the wheel of samsara. And Deepak Chopra, in his book entitled The Spontaneous Fulfillment of Desire, says that the non-local mind in you is the same as the non-local mind in me. Or, in fact, in a rhinoceros, a giraffe, a bird, a worm, even a rock contains non-local intelligence. So last Sunday, you may remember me talking about the fork of the tree as an intersection between two worlds. Well, the opening in this rock is actually a portal from another world. And I promised to tell you about the stone people last week. Once upon a time, there were two rather eccentric ladies that materialized through that portal into a magical land called Rock City. One of the ladies was smartly dressed like a quintessential tourist, with a camera hung around her neck and a big straw hat perched upon her head. Both of the ladies tried to bring the magical rock with them so that they could return to their homeland in the other dimension. But when they tried to lift the rock, it wouldn't budge. Something new they hadn't yet experienced called gravity. As they began to explore the surrounding terrain, they discovered that there was an amazing collection of rock formations. Upon further inspection, they discovered that these rocks had actually been a maternity ward for the stone people. Shaped like fully formed eggs, during gestation, the rocks had clearly cracked open as the baby stone people were born. After the stone people grew up and became consciously awakened adults, they formed a circle and they lifted off from Rock City and landed in a place far, far away called Stonehenge. Then they fulfilled their destiny to become a portal for galactic beings from other worlds to enter into this galaxy. After this amazing journey, the eccentric ladies were transported elsewhere in a silver bullet called a Prius. With James Bond as their co-pilot, they traveled miles and miles and miles through fields of golden wheat that stretched as far as they could see with their new physical eyes. Along the journey, the eccentric ladies heard the voice of Dr. Ernest Holmes guiding them. Go south, go south, go even farther south. They finally crossed the border into a land known as New Mexico. Then they were guided to a sacred space called the High Desert Center for Spiritual Living. When they walked through the doors, the spiritual community there welcomed them with open arms. In fact, they liked them so much that they voted unanimously to make one of the ladies their new senior minister. And the other lady, who is still behind the camera, was also unanimously voted in as their new deity. Oops, I mean as the president of the Board of Trustees. The end. So before the I am, a stone person, becomes a part of the circle at Stonehenge, it is simply an I am that hasn't yet manifest. Ralph Waldo Emerson tells us that the creative power lies in smiling repose, simply awaiting our recognition. And that universal consciousness differentiates and particularizes itself into everything that exists. So the intention behind our imagination, this sense of the I am, is what becomes who we believe we are. Let's say that we think of something we want to accomplish in this world, or we want to create something for our loved ones, or perhaps for our community, or even at a global level, to imagine a world that works for everyone. Depending upon the intention behind that collective and individual receptivity, the more likely it is that that universal consciousness will manifest the intention into our experience. The energy of that thought movement creates a medium. It's kind of like Facebook. The more people who like us, the more people we attract into the center. So make sure you like the posts and share them with your friends. Deepak Chopra tells us it is only with repeated thoughts that the impossible can be made possible through the intention of the non-local mind. So as human beings, we're used to thinking of our individual selves as I am, without noticing the greater possibility of the collective I am. And we lose the ability to imagine beyond the boundaries of what is traditionally considered possible. So, do the stone people really exist? Terry Wetton sings, "Miracles happen every day." Maybe you don't notice, but they happen anyway. You can make your wish come true. You can have all your dreams fulfilled, and it'll happen to you when you believe it will. So let's affirm together. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life. Today I meet my good. And so it is. Thank you.